We had a term when I played hockey growing up, when I played in college, and when I played in the minors, and it was you gotta be good at getting dirty in front of the net, and you gotta love mucking it up in the corners. And as my coach at Michigan State said as well, you have to love to battle. Now, all those are very similar quotes, and the one thing that sports teaches you is you have to compete. You have to learn to battle. You have to love to battle. You have to learn to compete with yourself. You have to learn to compete with other people. And I truly believe that that's one of the big things, along with teamwork and working together with other people, because business is a team sport. So then I graduated to the business world, creating my own companies, getting into real estate, owning real estate, rental real estate, and understanding how to build a team. And business truly is a team sport, as Robert Kiyosaki says, and it's not this individualist thing that we learn in school, or trying to do things as an individual. Individualism is great, but society, again, is a bunch of individuals together, working together. And that's what business is. It's a bunch of individuals working together. And that's what sports teaches you to do. And you have to learn and understand the love of mucking it up in the corners and getting to the dirty areas, as we'd say, the corners from the net. It's where you score goals, right? Or as a defenseman, how I was, beating the living hell out of people. And the game isn't quite that way anymore, unfortunately. So you get into a lot of fights. You learn to respect other people and respect other men, because if you did something, you might get punched in the face, and that's a big lesson to learn in life. And I don't believe everyone should have to get in a fight in their life, but boy, does it help you understand what responsibility and what accountability is. And that is an art we have completely lost. Men not understanding that art and not having respect for themselves, for other men, and for other women. It's a big art that has been lost. And I personally went through those battles and personally did those things that helped me become a better father, a better husband, a better leader, a better business owner. And you have to take those learning lessons, being good at mucking it up in the corner, being good at going to the dirty areas and putting your nose to the grindstone. And that's what has been lost in society today, right? We talk a lot about evil only exists because good people don't stand up and say something. And when you've never been punched in the face, when you've never been mucking up in the corners, getting dirty in front of the net, going to the dirty areas, it's going to be tougher. It's going to be tougher because you haven't experienced pain like that before, right? You haven't experienced physical pain, maybe some emotional pain. And everyone goes through some emotional pain in their life. And probably everyone eventually will deal with some physical pain. But when you subject yourself to that willingly a lot, you get good at learning how to fend it off, how to block it out, or how to deal with it. And it's made me, as a person who puts myself out there and put myself out there for years, would talk a lot, would listen a lot more, but would talk about the things that I do know, whether it was investing, business, sound money, politics, the things that I study. I don't go talk about rocket science because I haven't studied rocket science for 20 years, but I've studied those other 4 or 5 areas. I've studied those for 20 years, hunting, survival, preparedness. Those are things that I'm not all completely expert in, but I have a lot of knowledge in them. I'm a generalist, and that's, again, something we've lost in society because we've created so many specialists, people that can only think in one direction. You have to be a generalist. And as a defenseman growing up, I was pretty good at everything. And that's one of the reasons one of my agents told me, you're going to struggle when you get older, and you're not going to make it to where you want to go because you're a generalist. You're a tweener, as I call it. And ironically, it serves me well for life. It's made me make a lot of money and do well because of it as a generalist. And we've lost that in life. So many people have specialized and just and Gerald Celente talks about it, Robert Kiyosaki talks about it, that when people specialize and they get into these areas, which is not to say it's bad, but what you have to understand is that when you're a specialist, you tend to think of the world through your lens only, and you tend to think of the world only through your job and through your expertise, and that's it. And so this is a long history of specialists and what happens and why there are a certain way. But humans were made to be generalists, though. Humans had to be generalists to survive for thousands of years. And only recently have we really become specialists. And I'm only thinking my life in these terms because I have all these other people I can outsource things to. That wasn't always the case. So humans had to be generalists. So you have to learn to muck it up in the corners. You have to learn to get your nose dirty. You've got to learn to take the shots and to score the goals. Meaning you have to stand up. You have to speak out. You have to say things that might be uncomfortable, or else evil persists. So there's many ways you can use these analogies in your life, but these are lessons that I learned playing hockey growing up that I take with me everywhere I go, and that have provided me a lot of success in my life, that I teach my family, I teach my children, and people around me in Bitcoin circles. There's a lot of Bitcoiners that are like that. You go on stages, you go on Twitter Spaces, the content I put out, a lot of it has to do with those lessons I learned from having success playing professional hockey and playing at the highest levels, playing for the United States of America, playing for the U.S. national team, and doing well in business in real estate. These are all lessons that helped me do that. And so I can't deny those lessons. And those are things I want to share with everybody because they're that important. And school is not going to teach you. Government-run schooling is not going to teach you, right? Government-run schooling serves the purpose of the government and what they want you to know or not know. And that's where being a generalist and your real education starting when your formal education ends is so incredibly important. And learning to speak up, to stand up, and not be silent in the face of evil, because that is evil itself. And those lessons, whether those are battles you've gone through, or maybe you're thinking about your children going into those sports and learning those lessons and being confident, standing tall, chest out, chin up, those are huge lessons in life. And the epidemic we see now with kids in their phones and just going around, know it because I see it. I have people in my family, friends, people that have children just walking around for years with, I don't even know what they're called nowadays, Game Boys, Switches, I don't even know what they call them nowadays, but just glued to their phones. And kids' eyes are literally changing, and because they're glued to their phones just right in front of them 6 inches away so often that it's literally changing their physical and mental makeups. Scary. But we can do something about it. We can change, we can grow, we can become better individuals if we learn these lessons of the past and if we heed them. The saying is, you're doomed to repeat history if you don't understand, if you don't know it, right? In history, rhyming, not repeating, but rhyming. So removing our bias, removing our cognitive dissonance, and really looking at ourselves as a sponge of people that can learn, that can grow, and that can change. I haven't changed more in a 3-year span than I have in the last 3 years. And I thought I was pretty plugged in. And I was compared to the average person. Because I just spent all my time doing that. I don't watch TV. We don't have cable. I haven't had cable in 10 or 15 years. I don't watch those things. I watch specific things on YouTube. I learn, I grow, I watch, I take courses online. I take courses from other people and supporting what they do in all kinds of different asset classes. That's all I've done in marketing, everything for the last 10, 12 years. And so I continued growing way more than I ever did in formal government-run education. And we all have that opportunity. We all have that ability. But you have to, again, get good at getting dirty, getting in the corners, mucking up. You got to love to battle. You got to get to the dirty areas because that's where the goals are scored. That's where the reward comes. That's where the payoff comes. It's doing the hard things, going through the pain, doing the reps, doing the workouts, and that's where you grow. That's where you get incrementally better over time, over long periods of time, crystallizing your goals and time and with consistent effort over time. That's the formula. Outwitting the Devil from Napoleon Hill talks about that very formula, about achieving your goal, setting a goal, and working your butt off consistently over time. So I appreciate you coming to my TED Talk. Please let me know your thoughts on some of the lessons you learned. I would love to know some lessons, as I'm always trying to learn and grow, and some of the lessons you've learned over time, maybe some experiences you had, or maybe sayings that have stuck with you forever, and really things you always come back to. Those are some of the ones I come back to often and think about. So I appreciate you coming to my TED Talk. Please share this out because the algorithm hates truth. Question everything with boldness, even the existence of God himself. It's not financial advice, it's freedom advice. Trust, but verify. I'll see you on the next one.